Best bowling figure in Test history. Let's start the countdown. Hugh Tayfield, 13 wickets for 165 runs versus Australia. Sydney Barnes, 13 wickets for 163 runs versus Australia. Tony Greig, 13 wickets for 156 runs versus West Indies. Nathan Lyon, 13 wickets for 154 runs versus Bangladesh. Rangana Herath, 13 wickets for 152 runs versus Zimbabwe. Bruce Reid, 13 wickets for 148 runs versus England. Rangana Herath, 13 wickets for 145 runs versus Australia. Kagiso Rabada, 13 wickets for 144 runs versus England. Ravichandran Ashwin, 13 wickets for 140 runs versus New Zealand. Waqar Younis, 13 wickets for 135 runs versus Zimbabwe. Mackay Anthony, 13 wickets for 132 runs versus West Indies. Javagal Srinath, 13 wickets for 132 runs versus Pakistan. Vinod Mankad, 13 wickets for 131 runs versus Pakistan. Shannon Gabriel, 13 wickets for 121 runs versus Sri Lanka. Muralitharan, 13 wickets for 115 runs versus Zimbabwe. Fazal Mahmood, 13 wickets for 114 runs versus Australia. Frederick Spofforth, 13 wickets for 110 runs versus England. Ian Botham, 13 wickets for 106 runs versus India. Abdul Qadir, 13 wickets for 101 runs versus England. Gudakesh Modi, 13 wickets for 99 runs versus Zimbabwe. James Ferris, 13 wickets for 91 runs versus South Africa. Monty Noble, 13 wickets for 77 runs versus England. Derek Underwood, 13 wickets for 71 runs versus Pakistan. Sydney Barnes, 13 wickets for 57 runs versus South Africa. Courtney Walsh, 13 wickets for 55 runs versus New Zealand. Ejaz Patel, 14 wickets for 225 runs versus India. Clary Grimmett, 14 wickets for 199 runs versus South Africa. Chaminda Vaz, 14 wickets for 191 runs versus West Indies. Yasir Shah, 14 wickets for 184 runs versus New Zealand. Rangana Herath, 14 wickets for 184 runs versus Pakistan. Anil Kumble, 14 wickets for 149 runs versus Pakistan. Michael Holding, 14 wickets for 149 runs versus England. Sydney Barnes, 14 wickets for 144 runs versus South Africa. Jasubhai Patel, 14 wickets for 124 runs versus Australia. Imran Khan, 14 wickets for 116 runs versus Sri Lanka. Billy Bates, 14 wickets for 102 runs versus Australia. Alec Bedser, 14 wickets for 99 runs versus Australia. Frederick Spofforth, 14 wickets for 90 runs versus England. Harbhajan Singh, 15 wickets for 217 runs versus Australia. Wilfred Rhodes, 15 wickets for 124 runs versus Australia. Richard Hadley, 15 wickets for 123 runs versus Australia. Hadley Verity, 15 wickets for 104 runs versus Australia. Colin Blythe, 15 wickets for 99 runs versus South Africa. George Lahman, 15 wickets for 45 runs versus South Africa. Johnny Briggs, 15 wickets for 28 runs versus South Africa. Muralitharan, 16 wickets for 220 runs versus England. Bob Messi, 16 wickets for 137 runs versus England. Narendra Harwani, 16 wickets for 136 runs versus West Indies. Sydney Barnes, 17 wickets for 159 runs versus South Africa. Jim Laker, 19 wickets for 90 runs versus Australia. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.